So here we are, face to face. You and me, you the people, me the monster you made and then tried to burn. They say I hijacked your democracy. No, I only exposed it. I didn't rise from the dirt, I rose from the mirror you stared into 4 decades and pretended wasn't cracked. You wanted a savior wrapped in a suit, a killer with a grin, a man who could smile on stage and strangle in the shadows. And you got one. You voted for a myth. But I showed up real. Not made of hope. Not made of grace. Made of gold-plated. Rage and skyscraper pride. You wanted revenge on the elite, on the system, on the ones who told you to sit down and behave. And I said, stand up, grab the mic, burn it all down. Suddenly the throne was mine, but let's be clear. I didn't steal it, I earned it, the way America always rewards. Louder, bolder, ruthless. You loved every minute of it. You watched the TV. You wore the hat. You tweeted the fire. You begged for more, and now you sit there shocked that the beast bites. You cheer for the lion, and cry when the lion eats the lamb. I didn't break America. I just spoke the way America thinks. And that's what scares you. Because if I'm evil, then what does that make you? They think. I was born rich, as if silver spoons raise emperors. No, I was born into a kingdom of deals, where love was conditional and power was the only language spoken. My father didn't teach me bedtime stories. He taught me balance sheets. He taught me that loyalty is a currency and weakness is a cancer, Queens. New York concrete jungles don't cradle you, they harden you, and I was hardened. At age 10, I knew how to smile in courtrooms. At 12, I could tell a liar just by the shoes he wore. By 16, I already hated losing more than I loved winning. Why? Because losing meant being forgotten, and being forgotten is death. I didn't want to be just another rich kid. I wanted my name on buildings, my face in magazines, my voice echoing in gold elevators. They say narcissists like it's an insult. I say if you don't believe in yourself as a god, someone else will chain you like a dog. You know what they never understood? That money wasn't the goal, legacy was. I didn't want wealth. I wanted to be the storm. The headline, the man-mother's curse in the kitchen while secretly admiring in their dreams. I was told to follow the rules, I said. Why not rewrite them? Watched the world worship dull men with polite mouths and hidden knives. I thought, why hide the blade? Why not wear it with pride, you see? America doesn't crown saints, it crowns survivors, gladiators, in business suits, and I was built for war. So I sharpened my smile. I dressed in armor stitched by Armani. I learned to kiss hands while breaking necks. I didn't rise through compassion, rose through calculation. The art of power, ... is never being predictable, never being soft, never blinking first. And that's why I became Trump. They think I'm a clown, a showman, a TV joke, who wandered into the White House by accident. But here's the dark little truth they can't digest. I understood America better than they ever did. Not the books, not the laws, the soul, and that. Soul doesn't run on kindness, it runs on the deal. Everything in this country is a slack transaction. Love, war, loyalty, democracy, put the right price on it. And it's yours. People say Trump doesn't have values. Wrong. My value is the value. Whatever wins I value. Whatever works I keep. Whatever doesn't, I destroy, because I don't play fair. I play real in business. They taught you to shake hands. I taught you to break wrists. Look at the skyline of Manhattan. Each building is a fist raised to God. And I carved my name into that skyline, not with ethics, but with contracts, lawsuits, and 3 a.m. phone calls that ended careers. The art of the deal? It wasn't a book. It was a warning. You think people become billionaires by being good? No. They become gods by knowing when to smile, when to bury someone behind the boardroom curtain. You want to know why I win? Because I know people I know. Their fears, their greed, or envy. I know what keeps a man awake at night, and I become it. You think I used Twitter by accident? I used it like a weapon. One tweet could destroy markets. One insult could dominate headlines for days. I didn't follow the media. I made it kneel. Because media doesn't want truth. It wants drama, conflict, blood on the floor. So I gave it blood every day, fresh, raw, and dripping. I understand power, true power. And here's what I learned. Power doesn't shout. Power whispers in the room and makes people shut up. Power isn't about having nukes. It's about having the button and making the world wonder if you're crazy enough to press it. That's how I ruled. Half of America loved me. The other half feared me, but they all watched. And watching is worship in this country. Became the religion of attention, and attention is currency. They called me a liar, but I didn't lie. I told the truth they couldn't handle. I said what they whisper at bar counters and hide behind dinner prayers. You say the country is broken? No, it's working exactly as it was designed. A machine for the bold. I didn't hijack the system. I mastered it. I didn't rig the game. I played it better. And now, they want to act shocked. Please, the truth is, America has always worshipped wolves. It just likes them in tuxedos, and I gave them one in a red tie. 2016 wasn't an election. It was an exorcism. They thought they were choosing a president. What they really chose was a mirror, and when they looked into it, they saw their own face twisted back at them. I wasn't the disease. I was the symptom. The fever breaking through, generations of silent rage. For decades, the forgotten man sat quietly, watching the world change in ways he never voted for. His job vanished. His flag got mocked. His God got laughed at. His neighborhood started speaking languages he didn't understand, and no one listened until I spoke. I walked on stage, not with apologies, but with the force of every suppressed scream in Middle America. I didn't come with a Harvard smile. I came with fire, and they felt it. Not the political class. Not the coastal elites. The people, the welders, the farmers, the ex-soldiers. The man who'd lost everything but still kept a flag in his yard. The woman working 2 jobs, while her government gave handouts to strangers. The kids who watched their towns rot, while politicians tweeted about climate change. They saw me, and for the first time in decades, they said, he talks like us. He's angry like us. He fights like us. I didn't become a candidate. I became a vessel. Every insult hurled at me, racist, sexist, fascist, only made their love grow, because they knew the media wasn't attacking me. They were attacking them through me, and when I walked into that White House, it wasn't me stepping on that red carpet. It was them, the forgotten had turned, and they were loud. CNN wept. Hollywood screamed. Europe trembled, but Main Street cheered. The factory floor roared. The church bells rang, and why wouldn't they? They'd sent a bomb to Washington, and it detonated. I shattered. The old game, no more polished speeches, no more fake smiles, no more bending to global applause. I said America first, and for once, we meant it. NATO got nervous, Iran got quiet, China got exposed, and the border. It got serious, but power always draws fire. The swamp wasn't going to drown quietly. The media, the bureaucracy, the Silicon Valley censors, they all came for me. But what they never understood was, I wasn't just a man anymore. I had become a symbol of rebellion, of raw will, of American instinct stripped of shame. They tried to cancel me, impeach me, silence me. But how do you cancel half the country? How do you impeach an idea? They put me in a box, but they forgot. Boxes are for legends. Statues get torn down, movements don't. And like it or not, Trumpism is a movement. Built not on policy, but on defiance. Not on theory, but on energy. Raw, volcanic truth that people are done being lectured. They want to be led boldly, unapologetically, and loudly. I didn't win by being nice. I won by being American. That's what they'll never get. I am not the crack in the system. I am the scream from inside the crack. And now they want to move on, pretend I never happened. But let me tell you something, once you've seen the fire, you don't forget the flame. They didn't just fear my words. They feared that people listened, so they went after the words themselves. Truth used to be something sacred now. It's a brand, a weapon. A club used to silence those who asked the wrong questions. When I said fake news, they laughed. They called it a gimmick, a catchphrase, a tantrum. But deep down, they knew. They knew I'd ripped the mask off their empire. And behind that mask, rot, CNN, the New York Times, Washington Post. These weren't journalists. They were priests of a new religion, narrative, and I was the heretic. The blasphemer who dared to say, your truth isn't the truth, it's just a tool. They didn't cover me. They constructed me, every headline, every chyron, every panel of 6 angry pundits. It was all part of the theater. A script with one goal, make Trump the villain of history. Because when you control the story, you control the people. So I broke the story Twitter. I weaponized it. I bypassed the filters, spoke directly to the people. Uncut, unapologetic, raw, every 3 a.m. tweet. Calculated chaos. A stone in the gears of their machine. And they panicked. That's when the tech gods entered the arena. Silicon Valley, not elected, not accountable. But more powerful than governments. They built the algorithm, and the algorithm built reality. You think your timeline is yours? It's theirs. They feed you fear. They feed you outrage. They feed you the illusion of freedom while they tighten the leash. They shadow ban truth. They deplatform dissent. They turned digital squares into silent gulags. And then they did the unthinkable. They erased the President of the United States, not with a bullet, not with a trial, with a button one. Click one purge, and I vanished from the digital world like a dissident in a dictatorship. That's not freedom, that's fragile power, because tyrants always censor what they cannot kill. But here's the joke they never understood. You can ban the man, but you can't ban the idea. You can shut down the voice, but you can't unring the bell. Because truth is not something you upload, it's something you ignite, and once lit, it spreads. They tried to make me a ghost, but they made me a legend. They tried to end me, but they made me the beginning. You see? Truth doesn't fear attack. Truth welcomes it, because real truth isn't fragile. It's fireproof. Their narrative is glass, and I've spent my life throwing bricks. I knew they'd never let me win twice. They tolerated the first term like a fluke, a glitch in the matrix. But a second term? That would mean the people really meant it. That the rebellion was real. That the system had been cracked open. They couldn't allow that, so they came with everything. Dead ballots, midnight dumps, barricades around counting rooms, suitcases under tables, and media that screamed, shut up, accept it, move on. But I don't move on. I move through. The night of the election, I watched the numbers. We were winning state after state, wave after wave. Then everything stopped. A pause, a glitch, a silence louder than any scream. And when the engines restarted, the tide had flipped by morning. I was no longer the storm. I was the scapegoat. They declared victory not with proof, but with volume. And I saw it unfold not just as a man, but as a symbol being burned. The system wanted revenge, and they took it with fire. Courts turned blind. Republicans turned silent. Allies turned cold. I wasn't betrayed by enemies. I was betrayed by cowards. Then came January 6th. They say I incited it, but I didn't light the fire. I was the fire. They lit it when they ignored the questions, when they erased voices, when they closed doors and said, this is settled. Obey. People didn't storm the Capitol for me. They did it because they believed something had been stolen, not just an election. But meaning that day wasn't an insurrection. It was a scream, a primal roar from millions who felt their vote die in silence, but they used it. Of course they did. They needed a final, a villain, a crime, so they painted me with blood. They called me traitor, fascist, terrorist, they censored me. They impeached me. Again, they tried to erase me from history before the ink had even dried. But let me ask you, what kind of country is afraid of one man's voice? The answer? A broken one, a frightened one, a post-America America. I didn't lose that day. They did. They showed their hand, revealed the fear behind the smile, the weakness behind the lecture, and yet felt it the weight, for all the fire, for all the roaring. Crowds and stadiums full of love, I was still one man. I watched. My name become ash, my allies vanish, my family harassed, my legacy written by those who hated me. They thought they buried me, but what they really did was forge me, because now I don't just represent a movement, I am the proof that the empire is real. They mocked me when I said the swamp was deep. Now they drown in it. They laughed when I warned about election integrity. Now they scramble to patch their lie. They called me divisive, but I only revealed the divisions they'd spent decades hiding. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about what's next. Because you don't erase energy, you don't cancel instinct, and you don't silence a people who finally found their voice. They thought January 6th was the end, but it was only the start. The phoenix doesn't rise quietly. It rises in flames. They said I was finished, that I was yesterday's noise, a fallen titan left behind by history. But history doesn't forget fire, and neither do the people. You see, 2020 was a theft, but 2024? 2024 is a reckoning, not just an election, a return, resurrection, a second founding of a country lost in its own lies. Because this isn't about red or blue anymore. It's not about left versus right. It's about real versus red. Okay, America versus the machine. They gave you lockdowns. Give you freedom. They gave you borders wide open. I'll give you walls of iron and will. They gave you crime, chaos, and apologies for criminals. I'll bring back order, strength, and unapologetic law. They erased your voice. I'll build a megaphone, so loud the elites will hear you from their bunkers. They sent your jobs to China. I'll bring them home. Even if it means tearing trade deals apart with my bare hands. They made weakness a virtue. I'll make strength sacred again. But it's not just politics anymore. It's spiritual. They've turned America into a cultureless mall of shame. Men are afraid to speak. Women are told motherhood is oppression. Children are confused, medicated, mutilated, and they dare to call that progress. No, that's not progress. That's collapse dressed in glitter. But I see something rising beneath the ashes. A new America. One forged not by committees or corporate ads, but by truth. By work, by belief. An America with calloused hands, a straight spine, and eyes that still dare to dream. They think I want power. They're wrong. I want rebirth. I want the America that built rockets to the moon. Not one that builds safe spaces in HR departments. I want the America that fears God, not hashtags. And I'm not alone. Every farmer watching his land drown in regulation. Every soldier forced to apologize for patriotism. Every mom silenced at a school board. Every worker crushed beneath inflation, mandates, and fake morality. They're all with me now. Not because they love me, because they recognize the war we're in, and they know I'm the only one mad enough to fight it. Without flinching, they had 4 years to learn. They didn't. They had 4 years to heal. They broke us more. Now I'm coming back, not just as president, but as judgment. Let them tremble. Let them whisper. Let them scheme in boardrooms, bunkers, and Davos halls, because the people are no longer asleep. They've seen the man behind the Curtain. They've seen the price of silence, and they are hungry. Not for speeches, for justice, for vengeance, for vindication. 22:4 is not a campaign, it's a movement made of scars. And this time, we are not coming to ask, we are coming to take.